What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We are back at it again with the next episode of Educate and Dominate, the one-on-one interview series where we take some of the top players in the game and get their insights so we can bring your game to the next level. My next guest is also from the Euro server, recommended by our boy M, our previous guest on the Educate and Dominate. We have ourselves today Manny-Boi representing the guild Dead Rabbits. What is going on, Manny?
Hi guys, hi child. I'm very nice. I'm fine. What about you?
I am doing good, sir. It's good to have you here all the way from Italy.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm sad because this week is raining a lot here in Italy. I missed also my tennis match, and so I'm really sad. I'm really glad to be here with you, and it's pretty nice. It's my first interview about Summer Wars, and I'm sure that will be really fun, and I hope will be really useful for the other players and so on. Okay.
All right. So, if you guys haven't tuned in to the Educate and Dominate series, we have ourselves Manny as the first time guest. His YouTube channel is going to be linked on the top right section. So, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. I will also put a link in the description down below. Okay. So, Manny, let's get started right away. This is the first time we've had you on board, and a lot of people are not familiar with you. But you actually have been playing since the beginning of time. I think all the way back when I started, right around April or May of 2014.
I started in the May of 2014, and the way I found this game was really fun because I was playing soccer with my friends, okay, and after the match, I was talking with them because I always played games. I always play in the competitive area, not only on the iPhone but also, for example, in PlayStation. I played a lot Call of Duty. I think that all of you know what is Call of Duty. And that day after the match, I said that I was really sad because at the time was really hard to find a competitive game in the iPhone which allow a flitter player or a little spender, okay, to be competitive. And they said that a new game was released 1 or 2 weeks max ago, and the name was Summer Wars. And they said to me that was a good game to start to play because allows to be competitive, to be a good player, even without spend money. Of course, I decided to download that game, to start the game, and I really loved that game. I played that game. I played Summer Wars since, as I said, since May 2014, and I never stopped to play it because I think it's the best game on the, in the mobile. Is the best mobile game of ever. Okay. So another thing is that, as I said, I am a little spender nowadays because I just buy the daily pack one because in my opinion is really cheap and it's good to have. But until that, I never spent a single cent in the game. But this is not mean that I consider this does not mean that I am a weak player maybe, or I don't have enough experience to be good. And instead, I think that I am not, of course, one of the best players in the game, but I think that I am pretty good in Summer Wars.
Gotcha. And so that's probably going to be the biggest thing for our listeners today. Talking about the concept of free to play, a lot of people, when they watch these videos, they see top end players and they directly correlate them to, oh, they're a top player because they invest all this money
Yeah.
and they get all this runes and whatnot, whatever like that, and that's where they are today. But you have basically been one of those people that have literally spent little to no money and have basically been able to do just as good as some of these G3 players out there. So my question for you, Manny, is what is probably like the number one or number two biggest things for a free to play player to take advantage? What should they be focusing on when they're trying to manage their crystals and so on and so forth?
Okay. First of all, when you start to play this game, you must ask yourself a big question. The big question is, you want to be a player, okay? You want to play for fun, or you want to be competitive? If you want just to play for fun, I think that you should just to enjoy the game, because probably in 2 or 3 months you will stop to play, because as you know, playing a mobile game consistently is really time consumer. So my suggestion is, if you want to play in a competitive way, the first thing that you have to know is try to use everything you have. For example, the arena wings, of course. For example, during your first month, you don't have a lot of good monsters, you don't have a lot of good stuff, so maybe you don't want to spend your time doing the arena, because as you know, you are really weak. You're weak in level, you're weak in monster, in runes, so will be definitely impossible for you to close at least conqueror. And maybe you decide to don't do the arena, because you think that it's not good for you. You think that you can't see any advantage in doing arena. But my first suggestion is, if you want to be a good player, even without spending any money or just little amount of money, the first thing is do all arena you have. So arena is important, because in my opinion, the best weapon of a free to play players is the buildings. The buildings in the game are really important. In fact, I already maxed all of them, because they gave to us a really good advantages, because it's important to have to max them. And another important thing is to divide your experience in the game in different steps. The first step is starting to think what the game is, starting to understand what the game is, because we are talking about a mobile game, but we are talking about not just a game where there are strongest monsters and weakest monsters. So, for example, in a lot of other games, the two 3 stars monster are just foods. Okay, so you keep them in order to level up, in order to make stronger the best units in the game. Summer Wars is totally different. Summer Wars is a game where even the 2 and 3 stars monsters could be your weapons. So the first thing that you need to do is starting to, for example, starting to obtain a good farmer monster. For example, the fiery Nugami Roaq, for example, because this game is important to farm, not just to farm continuously, but also to farm quickly. Okay, so the first thing is and general tips is try to get as soon as possible a good farmer like the fiery Nugami, and also to fusion Viromos, because Viromos is a game changer, man. Viromos is what is a game changer. Without Viromos, I think that at least the 85% of the free to play players couldn't be able to farm the Dragon B10. Okay, the Dragon B10. So my first suggestion is try to fuse Viromos as soon as possible. Also, you have to understand that, in my opinion, you can see the summary words as a mathematical function. Okay, a mathematical function which is asymptotic. What I mean? Okay, if you, for example, think that Summoner's Wars is a competitive game where you can be stronger and stronger, but in my opinion, there is a cap, okay, in this power. For example, when you have all, or at least the most of important natural for stars of the game it's pretty hard to improve your monster storage, okay, your stuffs. So at the time you maybe start to think about not just monsters but also your runes. So in my opinion, you should try to divide the game in three steps. The first step, the first step was already described by me. The second step is try to build your first Jump B10 and Dragon B10 team. As soon you have these two teams, in my opinion, you definitely should to stop to use your crystal in buying the premium pack, but you should start to use those crystal for refills, because it's important to try to find good runes. This, in my opinion, was my best choice, because I think for the first 5 months of my gaming experience, I always use my crystal just to buy premium packs. And after 5 months, I look at my I look at my stuffs, and I saw that my monsters was not so good. In fact, I have just 4 or 5 good natural for stars, like Tyrone, like Chloe, but I didn't have a good runes. Okay, so it was really hard for me to play, and I started to think that okay, this is another game where only the big spender can grow. But I thinking I talked wrong, because I understood that in order to be good, you don't just to spend your crystal in premium packs, but you must start to use your crystal in refills, okay? Because runes are really important. The third step of the game, in my opinion, for a free-to-player is to think about, okay, now I have dungeon monsters, I have good runes, so now I should start to do the rift, okay? Because it's important to grind runes, okay? So if you want to speak about the rift, okay, we can go in depth in this. What do you think, child?
Well, you know what? I kind of wanted to take it a step back to a little bit ago when you were talking about uh, the uh, the units with regards to the farming. Now, you were talking about people need to focus on the farmer, farming type of unit, and get them up there so you can farm quickly and start evolving monsters and whatnot. I think one of the recommendations that you made was the Fire Inagami Roaq, and kind of thinking about how the game has evolved and how some of the units have evolved. It seems like a lot of these units nowadays that might be effective in like a Giants B10 or Dragon B10 can do exceptionally well in certain levels of farming and so on and so forth. So my question for you is, do you really feel that Roaq is a unit that should be kind of I guess a prime example of what they should use, or should they be trying to find a unit that they can 6-star to farm effectively, but also can use in different aspects of the game, like Giants B10 and Dragons B10? Because I feel like
Yeah,
in the beginning of the game, we all kind of had that, use Rogue, he's great, he's good, and so on and so forth. Now there's so many other new units that can do so many different things. You almost can kind of, go back and forth. Like, Rogue is a great unit, but this unit can do the job and also be a part of your Dragons team or your Dragons team. What do you think about that?
I think that the Fire Inugami is really strong, not only as a farmer, but also we didn't talk about the Necro, and in Necro, Rauk is really good, man. Rauk in Necro is really good. In fact, if you think about what the best team in order to farm Necro B10, Roaq is always there. Okay, I know that Darion has the best team for farm the Necro B10, but he plays like three dark configures, which are basically impossible to have for free-to-play players, okay? But Roaq, the Fire Inugami, is cheap to have, is farmable, okay? Because you just can farm and farm Famon until you get him. And the Fire Inugami is really strong in Necro B10. For example, if you think about Rengar, one of the best hold player in European server, his Necro B10 team was composed by Awa, okay, double Roaq, double Fire Inugami, not just one, but double, and he uses also Colleen, okay, he uses also Colleen. And I think that the Fire Inugami, so in my opinion, the Fire Inugami is not just a farmer, but for sure in the late game, when you will start to find a good will runes, and so farm the Necro B10, Roaq, and so the Fire Inugami will be really good for you. Okay.
Yep, I see. I see you even got another one here too. You got a couple of them coming up out of the woodworks here.
Yeah. In fact, in the near future, I want to 6-star another Inugami, and I was forced because I saved during these months a lot of stones because I would to find Tiana, which is in my opinion one of the best monster in the game. And in that rotation there was also the Fire Inugami as the 3 stars, and I summoned so much Fire Inugami, which were enough to max another one. Okay, so I decided to start to 6-star another Inugami in order to improve my Necro B10 team, which is already pretty good. I'm using Ciara, I'm using Galeon, I'm using Tayor, and Fire Inugami, Roaq, and I'm using Colleen. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, that's a really unique team. A lot of Nat fives there. Must be nice.
Yeah.
Got some rare
I
units over there. All right, all right.
I think that I was really lucky with summons.
Yes.
And another thing, talking about Necro, I use the Dark Jack-o'-lantern, Dusky. Okay, I read a lot of Reddit posts about him, and a lot of people say that he's food. Okay, he's not so good, but guys, you are wrong, because the Dark Jack-o'-lantern is really good in order to farm Necro. And why is good? Because in order to farm Necro in the proper way, you must have a good speed slower, okay? And a lot of you, of course, use the Fire Akasha, okay? Ewa. But in order to be effective, Ewa in the Necro, she must attack at the end of your rotation, okay? Because you must have the shield of the boss in order to put the slow harmful effect. And so Awa must be really slow. While if you have the luck to have Dusky, or of course the Water Jack-o'-lantern, you can use them instead of the Fire Akasha in order to farm Necro, because you can use Fire Akasha in a proper way in Rift, because in Rift, in my opinion, Awa must be really fast. In fact, if you check my Awa is not on violent, is on swift. This is not because I don't have good runes or good violent runes. Of course, I could make a really good Fire Akasha even on violent runes. I prefer to rune my Ewa on Swift, because in that way I could focus more on the other stats. For example, attack, for example, critical rate, critical damage, and of course HP. Because in order to build a proper AWA, I did a lot of tests in Rift 5, of course, and I saw that the minimum amount of HP for EWA, for a good Rift 5 EWA, should be something around plus plus 8 or 9,000. Okay.
Gotcha. Cool. 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 Yeah, we'll definitely get into the Rift here in a little bit.
Yeah.
You definitely get us some really good insight. I know that a lot of people, might criticize, hey, Roaq or whatnot. It's not something you could use in game, but you definitely have proven, as well as a lot of YouTubers and streamers out there have proven that Roaq is definitely a clutch unit when you're looking to add a multi-type hitting unit that's going to bring
Mm-hmm.
units to the table and provide that defense break. So I can attest to using Roaq. Roaq was actually a part of my first Necro B10 video. I ended up beating it with a Roaq in there, and everybody that has tried a composition adding Roaq in there has drastically reduced their runtime. So it's really a strong unit. I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, and funny enough, since we grew up at the same level, we both started at the same time. I also was one of those big advocates of using Roaq. It was such an easy unit to get, and I used him to farm as well. So really good stuff, sir. But yeah, moving on. We got ourselves probably the hot topic of today, the Rift of Worlds. As you stated, you've been playing since the beginning of time and had an opportunity to really test out the Rift of Worlds, right when it came in from the get-go, spending upwards of 10 to 12 hours a day, farming it up and down, left and right. So my first question to you is, sir, Rift of Worlds, who should be getting into it? How soon should people be doing it? When do you think they should start really thinking about farming Rift of Worlds exclusively?
Yeah. Rift of War, in my opinion, is a late game era, is a late game stuff. You definitely don't start to do Rift of War if you can, for example, farm. I mean, farm, not just pass one time once the Rift 4, okay? Because, okay, you know that the Rift of War is useful in order to improve, in order to grind or enchant your runes. But if you have just a decent, mediocre, or maybe weak runes, is not totally efficient to improve them. Will be a waste, because for sure in the future you will sell them all. Okay, so in my opinion, the first thing to do is, okay, do not start to farm the Rift of War until you have at least 10 or 15 really nice runes. For really nice runes, I mean those runes which have at least 2 or 3 good substats. For example, if you speak about a good rune for a DPS unit, okay, like Roaq, for example, of course you need for him at least critical rate, critical damage, and maybe also attack percentage, of course, a percentage attack, and maybe speed. If you have a rune, maybe also a 6-star runes which has only one of them, I think that will not good to green them, or maybe enchant a critical damage, a critical rate rune on them, because in the future you will find for sure a better runes, and you will say, oh damn, if I didn't waste my enchant rune or my green rune on on the previous rune, maybe now I could improve this new really good rune. So in my opinion, you should start to farm Rift of World when you already have a good team in order to farm Giant B10, Dragon B10, Necro B10, and you want to try to become a good Guardian players. When you want to start to try to close, for example, Guardian 1, at the moment, at the time, is the time to start to think about the Rift of the World, not before, because you will waste a lot of crystals in the Rift of the World. Because do not think that in order to improve your runes, just, for example, 3, 5 or maybe 10 runs per day will be enough to improve your runes. No, man. No. In order to improve your runes, you will must spend a lot of time and a lot of crystals.
The Rift of Worlds, it's quite the amazing level in and of itself. I still remember when it came out. I was just blown away at all the elements that they added. Being able to communicate with your friends, being able to
Yeah.
mix it up and really perfect not just your team, but what you need to bring. Between the three of you in order to farm it and farm it effectively. So, with respect to Rift of Worlds and looking at overall compositions, there's been a lot of people that have recommended a wide variety of things, trying to, have a certain amount of units that provide, your defense breaks, your attack breaks, your slows, so on and so forth. When it comes to you, with your particular composition, do you have a set kind of plan for yourself, or is it just something? I mean, I know that you're end game now, and everyone's kind of knows what to expect. But for some of these up and coming players that are transitioning from maybe level 3 to level 4, and they're working on it now, they're starting to create new units to make their composition. What should be focused on? Which kind of units overall should they be looking to bring?
Okay. First of all, I want to speak about the Queen of the Rift of World. The Queen of the Rift of World is Colleen. Colleen is the Queen of Rift of World. You must have Colleen in order to farm properly Rift 4 and of course Rift 5. Also, Colleen is really good because Colleen is in all good Necro B10 teams. So my suggestion is, if you want to start to thinking about farming Rift of World, you must try to work on Colleen and try to get her. Of course, it's really easy because she is a natural 2 stars. Okay,
Yep.
So start to build her. And about the building, I suggest violent runes. And if you have good revenge rune, of course, violent revenge runes is the best set for her. But if you don't have good mates or friends in order to farm Risk 4 or maybe Risk 5, and you think that your team is decent and you don't have to procs, for example, a lot of violet runes in order to have more healing power from Colleen, you can also build her full revenge, okay? Because full revenge Colleen will be pretty useful in order to have the attack back, which is one of the best important armorful effects in order to farm the Rift of World always on, okay? Another thing is for the Rift of World, you must prepare one of these 2 units. One is the Light Backbone, Darion, and the other one is the Dark Death Knight, which is DS. Okay, if you don't have DS, maybe because you didn't play when they released the Hall of Heroes of the Dark Death Knight, or if you was just stupid like me that I food DS, you can start to build Darion. About Darion, since it's really hard to have good stats for Darion, I don't suggest to give him, for example, Violent Runes or maybe Full Revenge Runes, which would be for sure the best set for him. I suggest to do like I did. I just did to Darion 6 random rooms, which were really good in substats in order to have a good tanky Darion. Because for Rift 5 and also for Rift 4, the best one of the most important stats is the defense. And I really happy about this because for sure until the release of the Rift of the World, in my opinion, the HP stat was more important than defense stat. If, for example, if you think about the HP flag or the HP building, those cost a lot more than the def and the def flag and building. But with the release of the Rift of the World, the defense become a really really important stat. In
Hmm.
fact, my suggestion is if you want to farm Rift 4 and Rift 5, you must start to think about your front line. Because if you have a good front line, you can easily farm in the future the Rift 5. And regarding the front line, I do not suggest to think about do not suggest to think about 4 monsters to use as a front line, but I suggest to think about to have at least 2 good units which has a lot of defense. Because if your units has at least 1200 defense, in my opinion, you could farm Rift 5 with a decent winning
Cool.
ratio. Okay.
And with regards to this kind of daring and talking about the amount of defense or whatnot, I kind of want to stay on the category of Rift of Worlds and then units like Colleen and Darion that are definitely instrumental for the free to play player since that's kind of your forte. Is there any other units that you can think of in addition to like a Konamiya of the sort that people can focus on that so that if they're trying to move into that R4, they're free to play. They're looking at some of these units that can be very very strong in R4, R5. What are some other great 2-star, 3-star units that people can utilize? You think?
Yeah, I can speak about 2 of them. One is the Light Inugami Belladeon, okay, which is one of the best healer of the game. And my Belladeon is not a really good runed because I'm not using him. I'm not using him anymore because, for example, for Rift of War, I prefer to use Chasun because Chasun is really useful because as also glazing it. Anyway, Belladeon is enough as a healer in Rift 5 if is paired with, for example, Colleen and also Konamiya. Okay, another really good unit that, in my opinion, nowadays is one of the best unit and used unit in the game is the Wind Living Armor Copper. And nowadays, Copper is a really game changer because Copper is really strong in PvP. For sure, is one of the best units for Guild Wars, and also is one of the best units for the Rift of World because during one of the most recent change of the game, Come to Ice changed his first skill. If you go and read the first skill of Copper, nowadays this skill also provides another really good harmful effect for farming Rift of War, which is the speed debuff. Okay, and also as you know, Copper is defense based monsters, so you can build a really good wind living armor, and you can pair him in the front line with Darion. So you will have a good front line, which is Darion plus Copper, and also you will have a really good DPS for the Rift of War. In fact, Thunderstrike deals tons of damage. Okay.
Yep, that's pretty good. And you know what? You actually caught me off guard there because I remember reading about it, but I didn't put two and two together, which is a great thing to think about. You know, when we're transitioning in from R3 to R4 and we're starting to build up units, obviously it can't just be a night and day change. Some of these units people are going to have to think about to put in there. And when we think about Rift of Wars, we're thinking about trying to get the most bang for our buck and utilizing new units that are going to bring multiple types of of hostile effects, defense breaks, attack breaks, so on and so forth. So this is pretty cool because, of course, everybody that is thinking about their composition, they're going to be bringing some kind of a defense reduction type of effect. So having the opportunity for his first skill to do the attack speed decrease, whatnot. That is really really good. I mean, slowing this boss is a really important part of the game too.
Yeah, because also if you read the skill, of course, in order to put the speed debuff, the boss must already have the defense break status.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, it's generally copper is quite slow units. Okay, so for sure copper will be slower than your Belladeon. Okay, so if you use, for example, a simple team for Rift 5, in my opinion, is Darion, okay, copper, Belladeon, Colleen, Konamiya, and Tizerion. Okay, this is one of the most easy farmable team for Rift 5. There are no natural 5-star. There are no. Okay, Tizerion is a natural 5-star, but as you know, if you have just bit luck, you can get him from Ifrit Scroll. And of course, in my opinion, before starting to think about Rift 5, you for sure play a lot the game. So in my opinion, you should have the opportunity to buy at least 3 or maybe 5 4 Ifrit Scrolls. Okay, so you should have already Tizarian. Okay, and talking about this team, you have basically every harmful effect except the glazing it. Okay, regarding the glazing it, in my opinion, good units in order to put it is for sure Chasun, is Lisa, and another really underrated unit for Rift of War is the Water Taoist. If you go, I don't have Water Taoist because I didn't summon it yet, or maybe I flooded it a long time ago. But if you go and see the skill set of the Water Taoist, you can see that he's really good in Rift of War because he basically puts a lot of different harmful effect. For example, if you just run him like speed, critical rate, and HP or attack, if you can give him good HP substats, with his first skill, you will put in the same time attack break and glazing it. I farm Rift 5 a lot of time with players who use a full revenge Taoist, and we never fail a single run of 35 because a full revenge water Taoist is a god in putting attack, break, and glazing it.
Yep, very very nice. And I did, I've always seen the Taoist being able to put those two, but I would have never imagined that people actually tested it out for Rift of 5. So that just kind of goes to show you guys that, again, when you're thinking about what people do at the top game, they're trying to get the most bang for the buck as far as some of these units go. The Water Taoist, another unit that people enjoy using in TOA. So when you're thinking about getting yourself at the end game level, obviously you have to, focus, all your best, runes on your best units and thinking about which units are going to provide you most bang for your buck. So the Water Taoist, all of you, shout out to all the people out there that got the fake 5 Water Taoist and probably foddered them. You're like, oh man, I should have kept that one. But no, it's really cool, and I'm really glad you brought that up because again, it's just amazing how many units we truly have in this game that can be so useful in different aspects. And of course,
Yeah.
the first skill is only for one turn, right? It is glancing hit for one turn or whatnot. But if, like you said, if you got this like on a revenge or whatnot, I mean, you're constantly going to be proccing it on not just your turn, but of course on these counterattacks you're getting.
Yeah, because when you farm Rift of War, the hardest part is after the last EOE. Okay, if you can survive at least 1 or 2 turns after the last EOE, you will be safe. And of course, a full revenge water terrorist could help you on it. Because if after the last UE water terrorist revenges this attack and put bot attack break and glassing it, I think that you won't die. Okay, this is
Gotcha.
why water tires and of course revenge runes are really good in Rift of World. And I was really happy about the Rift of World because with the Rift of World, revenge runes became really important because nowadays the PvP area is full of will runes and nemesis runes. It's really hard to find nowadays revenge rune in top ranks, and also it's good to have a good way to use revenge runes. And revenge runes in Rift of World is really strong.
Definitely, I couldn't agree with you more. Let me see here. Let's kind of finalizing this part of the Rift of Worlds here. As far as all the free to play units that are really good units that are going to be very beneficial for them in R4 R5. We got ourselves Colleen, Darion,
Yeah.
Tessarion when you can farm it up. Konamiya, Copper. I can't think. I can't. Oh, and then Belladeon. Was there anybody else that you could think of that we might have missed?
Yeah, one unit which is, in my opinion, the best unit in order to farm Rift 4, because before starting to farm Rift 5, of course, even me and even I think the world players farming a lot the Rift 4. I use it a lot. The Wind Vampire. The Wind Vampire, in my opinion, is the best unit in order to farm Rift 4 because his third skill deals tons of damage. Really, in my opinion, is the best DPS for Rift in order to farm Rift 4. So, if you want to start to farm Rift 4 and you don't have good attack type units for Rift of War, I suggest you to fuse one of them. Okay, because if you check the third skill deals more damage, more harmful effects the boss has. And if you think about the Rift of War is all depends on harmful effects. So for sure, before Argen turn, the boss will have at least 3 or 4 harmful effects. So definitely you will deal a lot of damage.
Yep. You.
And okay, so just another unit which is really underrated is um, Lanett. I don't know how properly to say it in English.
You got it.
Is yeah, the dark girl, because she is one of the few farmable speed leader in the game, and in my opinion is the only good farmable and farmable speed leader unit. I know
Gotcha.
that it's not properly farmable because if you have missed the previous all of heroes, you won't have air. You don't have air. So, but if you have air, I definitely suggest you to run air in order to farm Rift 5 because, in my opinion, the best leader skills for Rift 5 are resistance, for sure, defense, and speed. I do not like to farm. I don't like to. I don't like. Oh my god! Just a moment. I don't like to farm Rift 5 with HP leader because a lot of you maybe doesn't know that more turns you have. Okay, most turns you have, the most will be the damage of the boss. Of course, you know that the boss every 15, 16 turns he does an area attack which stuns your units, and also that attack also improves all stats of the boss. So in my opinion, the more fast you will be in your run, the more will be safe your run. Okay, so if you have hair, definitely run hair. And regarding the build, I suggest to run Air Violent, not Revenge, because the first skill doesn't provide any harmful effect. So you can run, for example, Violent Energy, okay, in order to give Air more HP substats. And regarding the runes, I suggest to run Air Speed, Critical Rate, and Attack. Why critical rate and not critical damage? Because if you read the third skill deals more damage as depending on the boss HP, maximum HP. So attack is not really important for it. In my opinion, it's better to have a guaranteed critical hit rather than just a little stronger attack. Okay.
Gotcha. Yep. It's an amazing unit. Hopefully, you guys had an opportunity to get it. If not, just hopefully you get a lucky LD pull. Some people wouldn't call it luck, but again, I've been talking with a multitude of people. I know I can give a quick shout out to Fria. Fria is a well respected guy in the global community who actually preaches about Lanett. He does find value in it, guys. This is not just somebody from the Italian community saying, "Oh, use Lanett." No, this is something that, even though people have different opinions on, still can be valuable. And again, it comes down to bringing a unit that's going to provide you what you need for your comp. And if you're somebody that's looking for a different leader skill, right? Everybody has the Fire Panda now, or everybody has the resistance leaders or whatever, and you need something else, but you don't want to bring critical rate, then speed is a great option, and this could be that unit to fill your gap, helping out with damage as well as heals and hit point disturb. So good choice there, good choice. Taking a look here, thinking about these units that we were just discussing, they're definitely especially what Fria would call like an underrated and overlooked unit. So I guess my next question for you is, there's a lot of units out there in this game that you have tested time and time and again, as well as some of your guildies have tried out. Is there any units that you would consider underrated, overlooked in the game today with regards to our meta, whether it's PvE or PvP? What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, for starting, I want to ask you a simple question.
Okay.
How many times did you lose a match because Ciara went mad and put on you like 3-4 bombs?
I honestly could count the amount of times on one hand. Why? Because I generally ignore Ciara.
Exactly.
I don't even try.
Yeah. And I have a suggestion that is called Water Lizardman. The Water Lizardman, in my opinion, is one of the best counter for Ciara in the game. Okay, because it's similar to the Wine Serpent, which has a good passive in order to reduce the damage from Fire Monster. Well, the Water Lizardman has the exactly equal leader, the exactly leader passive, which reduces the damage from wind monsters. In fact, if you run a Water Lizardman full HP, you will survive more turns against a Ciara. And regarding a team, for example, my personal Guild War defense is Ciara, Orion, and Eladriel. Okay, and a lot of people actually loses against this guild against this defense. And so I started to think about a good team in order to counter it, and I think that the Water Lizardman is the best counter for this composition. For example, if you build a composition like that, like Kali, Chloe, and Water Lizardman, and you give will runes on all of them, and on Water Lizardman, for example, you give to him 4 shield runes and 2 will runes, you will, I don't want to say that you will have a guaranteed win, but I think that you will have a lot of good chances in order to win against this composition, okay? Because as you know, Ryan removes one of beneficial effect, and if you are lucky enough to see that Orion doesn't remove the will rune, I think that you will have a lot of good chance in order to win. Okay, so go and see what the Water Lizardman, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated unit in the game.
Gotcha.
I will 6-star him in a short. Okay,
All right.
so
Oh,
another really underrated unit
can I
is the
can I ask you a question real quick
yeah,
though on the
yeah,
Kernodon? I apologize for interrupting you. When I think about what this unit can bring to the table, I definitely agree with you on certain aspects. Now, let's talk about the fan base that is watching you with regards to your free to play community and the people that have supported you in the free to play community, especially over there in Italy. There's a lot of units out there at the very beginning that we use because we find them of value, and we cannot we couldn't push aside the fact that even though some of us maybe are old school and we have it and we dust it out of our monster box, because we played around with it on PvP stall setup. For some of these up and coming players, they might have seen it on the video and they've played around with this unit. Where do you take us on this? So obviously the unit that I'm going to be talking about here is the water Epicon Priest, okay, Rena. Now this is a unit that's used in a lot of aspects
yeah.
in PvP right now in the meta, and so a lot of people already have this. So let's say they already have this. They have a high hit point, high resistance Rena, and we got ourselves this unit Kernodon. Now between Rena and Kernodon, do you feel like they should consider making this if they're looking for a CR counter, or do you think Rena is still a good option?
Rina for sure is a really good option because she has a lot also the healing power, which is really good against Ciara, and I think that you could 6-star bot, okay, buff, and if for example Rina dies, you can use the Water Lizardman.
Hmm.
Also, another thing to say that in my opinion, the Water Lizardman is more for the late game against Ciara
Sure.
than Rina.
Okay.
And I'm really happy about Rina because in nowadays the meta of arena, and I mean the meta of defenses in arena changed again. Okay, 1 month ago was a meta of composed by speed teams like Kivu plus Orion plus Ciara plus Theomars and so on. Nowadays, the meta changed again, and we back like 2, 3, 4 months ago, where you could see only stall defense. And nowadays, I think that stall defense back again. And regarding the stall defenses, I think that there is another really underrated unit for stall defense, which is the Fire Sylphid, Fria. Fria was really bad until the last update, not the most recent one, but the previous one again. And if you check her new passive, I think that the new passive of the Fire Sylphid is amazing in a style composition. Because if you think about the most powerful offensive team for Arena, you will for sure think about Tiana plus Colleen plus Cyrus and plus Alisa, for example. So basically, is composed by Tiana, Galleon, and 2 units which has a good AoE skill. Okay, so in my opinion, Fria is really good against this composition because image a stall composition like that, like Herial as a leader, Tank Mila, Rina, and Fria, or maybe Herial, double Rina, and Fria. Okay, so Tiana will move first. Okay, then Galleon will use his third skill, and then Serious, for example, will use his third skill. Okay, and for sure, Ariel and the double arena won't die, but for sure Fria will die. Okay, and as soon Fria dies, her passive will remove all harmful effects from your monsters. So basically, will remove the defense break provided by Leon, and also will totally recover the HP of your monsters. Basically, Alisa won't kill anyone with her third skill. So for sure, this stall composition won't win any matches. Okay, the goal of a stall composition is not winning defenses. Okay, it's basically impossible for a stall composition to win a match, to win a defense. But the aim of the stall composition is to force your opponent to waste a lot of time in order to beat your stall composition. So regarding the build of for Fria, I suggest to run her full maybe energy, or better I suggest to run her like speed, HP and resistance. Why resistance? Because it's important for her to don't be for to don't it's important that Zyros won't increase the cooldown of your passive, because if he basically blocks your passive, the free passive, basically your stall composition will fail. Okay, so another important thing is to provide air just a few HP in order to rune L on will runes. Okay, because not anyone has Tiana. Okay, not anyone has Tiana. So for example, against will runes is really hard to use Zyros if you don't have, for example, Kivu, if you don't have Aquila, if you don't have Tiana. So if you rune your Fria with will runes, you will have a good shield against Zyros. But as you know, if your Fria is on will runes, is hard to put defense break on Fria. And in my opinion, it's important that Fria will die between the first HEOE skill of your opponent and the second one. Because if Fria survives, okay, imagine that after the Xerios AoE, Fria is alive, okay, and and your monsters like Herial, Daburina have the death break on, okay, Alisa will probably kill them all. So it's important that your Fria will die between the first AoE and the second one. Okay.
Gotcha. Cool. Very good insight, sir. And what was the last unit that you said you had that you wanted to recommend there as far as
Yeah.
underrated and overlooked units?
The last unit is the light living armor. Okay, in my opinion, nowadays come to us is starting to think more on the defense-based unit. Okay, because as I said before, for 1 or 2 months ago, the defense stats was not so important like the HP stats, and also the defense-based DPS was for sure weaker than the attack type monster. And with the release of Imazeti, the Wind Horus, which is, in my opinion, one of the best natural fossar of the game, a lot of defense type monster became really good. And the light living armor was recently buffed. In fact, if you check his third skill nowadays is like a mini massacre. Okay, in my opinion, the light living armor is a mini Asher, which is based not on HP but is based on defense. In fact, if you check on the wikia, the multiplier of his third skill, the multiplier of this skill is really high, it's really huge. It's something like 100 of your attack power and 240 of your defense power. Another thing is that is important to highlight is that the light living armor, in my opinion, is a really good monster for Rift of World instead of Copper, because as you know, Thunderstrike for sure deals more damage rather than the third skill of the light living armor. But sometimes, if the boss doesn't have on the death break status, your copper won't ignore the death of the boss. Okay, so Thunderstrike basically won't do a lot of damage. Instead, the light lever armor for sure will deal a lot of damage even if the boss doesn't have the death break status on. So if you check also his skill set, he provides a lot of harmful effect for the Rift of World. It provides slow debuff with his first skill, death break status with his second skill, and also uncoverable status with his third skill. So definitely is not a bad monster. Is really, really, really good.
Cool, and it's funny because there's so many people out there that have probably summoned this one have gotten pretty disappointed. So it's kind of cool to
Yeah.
see some people do it. I agree with you on the defensive aspect of defensive part of the game. A lot of favoritism was going to the attack and HP based monsters. The defense weren't getting a lot of love, and now you definitely see some more coming out of the woodworks as far as being, really really good units. So very cool, very cool. Let's see. I guess one of the biggest things to ask, we've seen a lot of these units change, for the better, for the worse. So, with Come to Us listening, if there was one thing you would change in this game to make it better, not just for you but just for the community in general, what do you think that would be and why?
Okay, in my opinion, I think that a lot of, for example, a lot of natural 5-star which are light and darkness type should be buffed because, in my opinion, there are still a lot of light and dark natural 5-star which are not really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Because man, we are talking about a natural light and darkness 5-star. In my opinion, they all should be really strong, really powerful. In fact, I think that basically aren't just a few elemental 5-star which are not so good. For example, in my opinion, the wind and the water lady need a buff. I really happy about the last update because they buffed a little bit more bet, which is the water lady. But in my opinion, there's still a lot of work to do regarding the light and dark 5-star. Another thing that I want to improve is related to the glory shop. As you know, the game is really old nowadays. The game was released more than 2 years ago, and in my opinion, all players who started to play that game on May 2014 for sure nowadays should have all of the arena buildings maxed. Okay, like me nowadays, I have like 9,000 of unused glory points, and in my opinion, they should improve at least the cap of the scrolls that you can buy from the glory shop. I don't want to just remove the cap. Maybe just give us a possibility to buy not just one scroll of each type, but at least 2 or 3 of them, okay, in order to don't have a lot of unused glory points. Because arena for sure is really fun, but once you have maxed all of your buildings, arena becomes really bored. Okay, really boring. I don't like anymore to use all my wings on the midweek. I just play the rush hour, for example. In fact, I always have my arena defense down until Friday because I have no incentive in order to play arena because all my buildings are maxed already. So why I should play arena all the day, all days, when I just can play it on Sunday in order to try to close legend or guardian. That's all.
Gotcha. Really cool. All right. Well, thank you for that insight. We're pretty much wrapping up the end of this video. Is there any shout outs you kind of wanted to give to the community out there?
Yeah, I want to say hi to all my good mates. I want to say hi to my Italian friends. Okay, my Italian channel. And another thing I want to say is that if you started the game and if you started to buy premium packs and you definitely don't get any good, and you say in a random channel a lot of 5 stars, I would say that do not reset your account, do not change your account, be patient, be patient, just play, have fun, and the luck will come to you.
Gotcha. And then I guess I want to give obviously a great shout out to the community, but most notably M, who was a recent Educate and Dominate that recommended you to come on board, representing the Italian community and the Dead Rabbits Guild of the European server. Thank you so much for your time. I know that our free-to-play players will definitely enjoy this one. I appreciate your support.
Thanks a lot. It was really, really fun to play, to speak with you, and I for sure I will help anyone who will type will ask for me in the comment of the video about any suggestion, any tips. I always want to try to help anyone. And also, just to conclude, I apologize for my not so good English, but as you know, in Italy English is not studied very, really well, and in my opinion, it must be changed.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah,
I will definitely give a little disclaimer out there, but for all those that are listening, on behalf of both Manny and we appreciate your patience. I know that one of the things that we have talked about on the side, is to continuously connect the community, and not just everybody in
yeah,
the States, but
exactly.
in different places, Brazil, Italy, Germany, anybody across the seas, and of course, being able to do that, it's going to take some work, and being able to be patient with mixing and matching different time zones, different language. As you guys saw, I had a time frame of almost 2 to 4 weeks that I couldn't make a video because I couldn't connect with some of the people that were
Yeah,
going to be guests. It's very, very hard to get all together and work out all the kinks. So for all those that have sat here from the beginning to end watching these videos, it really means the world to both of us, Manny and I. Thank you again for your support. Okay. That's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you all for tuning in for this episode of Educate and Dominate. It's your boy Childish and Manny-Boi with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video. We're out.
bye bye.